hair looking fine?
Yeah, hair's looking great.
I don't know, we went off script, कुछ तो कर रहे थे हम.
काफी बाल कर लिया आज बहुत. Hi, how are you doing today?
I'm okay, I think. Been a little low than my usual, but I mean, I'm fine.
Of course you are. Is it the weather?
A lot of things.
Yeah.
I'm weather 100%. I mean, Bangalore weather is weathering, so
Yeah.
or not weathering, I should say. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's the weather. Things at work have been a little tough. I mean, things haven't been tough. Maybe I'm finding it tough, but yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's also going to be the essence of the episode today, right? Like, today we're gonna dive deep into like the scary, the vulnerable, and like, you know,
Yeah, I know. When you put it
unraveling
like that,
parts of yourself.
yeah. I mean, let's go for it. I know that this conversation has sort of been a little overdue.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how naturally it'll come out, how I feel about it when I actually talk, but I think we should maybe get into it and just see, because
I think yes, and cheers to that. We must all the
Okay.
scary parts of it. Let's start this.
ooh, I like my drink.
Spicy. I will start with something. I'll give you a cue, okay? I want to know. We'll try to break it down, okay? We don't have to get into like the ugly bits immediately. Let's
Yeah.
start from scratch. Tell me, when was the first time you felt weak?
My story about that, I think it's a little different than I think what most would feel like, because for me, it was not like I felt weak or something. It's just that things were told to me. So how you sort of, just understand the way things are told, like
Yeah.
especially when you're young, you maybe don't have that clarity of when to shift your perspective. So I was not in that phase that I had shifted my perspective. So what used to happen was, let's say something has happened in school, or something has happened at home, like
Yeah.
if my parents are scolding me for something or whatever, like there used to be like waterfall, like
Oh.
every time. Okay.
That's so adorable.
Not really. It wasn't. It
It
seemed.
was ugly. Are you an ugly crier?
Yes, I think everybody's an ugly cry. Can be. I think so. But the skin feels good after.
Yeah, the skin is amazing after you're crying. Your eyes are glistening and
Yeah.
your skin is flushed.
So I think
amazing.
it was-
I love it.
It was that, but more than that, actually, what happened was every time I broke down, which was very often,
Oh.
I was just told that how to talk to you. Like every time we say something, you'll start crying, or you're weak. You aren't being strong enough to listen to things, to do all of that. So even though things were not like something big or something, and I'm not even sure that I was crying about the actual thing, but I was just crying. So I didn't know at that point in my life that crying is just my way of letting out the emotional overwhelm that I'm having.
Yeah.
It wasn't more like the situation is impacting me enough that I'm, shedding tears or something. But I was told that how will you survive like this? You're weak. All of that. So yeah, that happened.
Okay, and you sort of internalized it. You thought that this is who you are and this is your identity, and it's like not emitting emotions or like not projecting like how you feel is going to make you strong. And the way you were talking about like how everyone around you, including your parents, were like, how do you even talk to you? How will you survive? That's a lot.
Yeah.
How did you deal with that?
I think, I sailed through it more like that. Did not really deal with that sort of an idea, because I think one thing that happened was I didn't stop sharing. I still continue to do that. So I'm like, you deal with the crying. Like, this is who I am, which is now that when I look back, it's a good thing, I think. But that phase happened, the school phase happened,
Yeah.
and then I moved away for college, like 700 miles away. I've moved to college, and there the experience is entirely different, because I'm talking about being away from home, being in a hostel, being surrounded by so many different energies of people, you know, so many different personalities. And then on top of that, there's this pressure of you're supposed to perform a certain way, you're supposed to get some grades, you're supposed to plan your next phase of life, and all of that. Yeah, that was a struggle in itself. But I think that's when I started discovering a little more of me, a little. But to be honest, even by that point, I was like, yeah, I am weak. Like I had accepted that by that point, that it's okay because I'm still expressing. So my headspace was that I'm gonna accept that maybe I'm a weak individual.
You just accepted the fact that it's okay. Like, did you own it, or were you just
It was nothing about owning it as such, not in a way that I'm feeling proud about it.
yeah?
Because the way it was put forward for me earlier, it was still that thing that um, it's not a frowned upon thing per se, but
Yeah.
at least like it's not a happy thing to
Yeah,
have. It's not
fair
a
enough.
good quality to have. So I was like, okay, I have bad qualities, and this is my bad quality that
Okay.
I'm weak. That was my understanding of it up to that point.
Okay, fair. I mean, I understand, like, going to college is such a liberating experience. It is scary when you move away from home, especially at such a young age. Like, everyone thinks that you're ready at 18, you're ready to, like, pack your bags and leave and start living an adult life. But I feel like at 18, I didn't know the things I knew at 14. Like, I think I was smarter then. Because after having the resources and,
Yeah.
like, I don't know, the luxury to make your own decisions and your own mistakes was far worse than having a set template in my life. So when in school, I was like, okay, yeah, I got to wake up at 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah,
gotta
that
go to
was a
school.
specific routine. Everything's
Yeah.
following just one specific thing.
Yeah, but it's horrifying because your actions will have consequences, and these consequences are something that you have to deal with. And that, I think that is when I also gained most of my strength. I didn't move out when I went to college. I moved out when I had to go for my master's, so which was a little later, 3 years after you probably moved out, right? And when I went to college, I was older. I was 20 years old, and I was like, yes, I am going to go to college. I am not going to live in a PG. I'm not going to live in a hostel. I'm going to get a house. I remember I stayed with you
Yeah.
for like the first 20 days of me coming to Bangalore.
Yeah.
After that, I got a house, and I was like, yes, I'm going to figure this out on
That's
my
my
own.
big girl energy now.
It was bad. I went to D-Mart or those grocery stores, the Bangalore grocery stores for the first time. I wanted to weep on the floor. I didn't know which dal to get. Like
Yeah.
in my house, I always had like the right kind of food items and like dals in my house. And I'm sitting in that aisle. I'm just like, who is a moong dal? What is a moong? And why are there three moongs? Why is one split in half?
Oh god.
It was horrifying.
Yeah.
And that is when I felt the weakest. But after I spent my own money, and like I think I spent like 10,000 rupees the first time at a grocery store by myself, and I was like, I am strong. I can
Wow.
still go back home and do this shit. So yeah, I get it. It's scary, weak you feel in the beginning, but the way you persevere, the way you get through this like liberation and freedom is what makes you stronger. When you're allowed to make your own mistakes. I bought the wrong dal, obviously. When I reached home, I realized this is
Yeah.
absolutely not needed.
Hmm.
But that's when I realized ki next time I go, I'm not gonna buy this weird moong green color thing.
I mean, I'm glad that you shared this thing. Actually, my experience was very similar when I moved to Bangalore, which was after my undergrad. But I think the picture for me in college was still quite different. Like, it's just that, see, now when I look back, I know that I was a badass in college as well, in my own ways. But I do not believe it like that.
Yeah.
So I was in college. I was working at a startup for like about 11 months, and then I was building my own as well. All of that was happening in college, all while dealing with the negative gossip here and there.
Yeah.
And I've had like my fair share of worst friendship betrayals as well, like which was like stabbing me like right in. It was happening in front of me and I couldn't do much. So it's like I'm being stabbed. I'm running a company. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I am managing the shitty mess food. I am trying to manage finances for the very first time in my life, where I'm like, I can't burden my dad much with it, so I have to sort of find my own ways to do it.
Correct.
And I did find a way. But all of that was happening, which now when I look back and I'm like, dude, you did that. Like,
Yeah.
if I was my own daughter, I would be like, you should be bloody proud of yourself for doing that. But at that point, I wasn't. I was still doing all of it, but in my head was, Asta,
Yeah.
you're weak and you're doing this. It's okay, you're weak and you're doing this. So there was this constant voice in my head that just stayed like, you're a weak person.
But do you think that drove you to do all of this? Do you think that the constant voice in your head that kept saying that, oh, Astha, you're weak? And when you were standing from the, like looking at yourself from the outside, you felt like this is something a weak person is doing? Or did you just let that drive you forward?
I didn't actually let it drive forward because, I mean, not like I refrained from it or something. I did not surrender to it. I did not make that my vehicle either because, like I was telling you as well, I'm not. I didn't have this thing in my head that I have to prove that I'm not weak. If I had that thought in my head that I have to prove to someone
Yeah.
that I'm strong, then I would have taken that as my driving force and moved forward. But that was not the thing. I was just trying to be me. So I think my
Yeah.
driving force was more as to do what you like, do what you enjoy. And every single step, I was making decisions that I was enjoying and finding my thrill in. All the while, just keeping it in my head that it's okay, you're strong, you're not strong, who gives a fuck, let's just move on.
Fair.
That was more my agenda, I would say. But you tell me, have you had any betrayals?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to get to that because as you're talking about this,
Yeah.
happening all at once. So you're probably overwhelmed by just the number of things on your to-do list at such a young age, and being 700 miles from home. Isn't that the time that a person needs that sort of support system around them, that friend group? And if you go through those betrayals at that stage,
Yeah.
so young, and when you're so scared, that impacts you a lot. And like that does remind me of like friendship betrayals or like whatever betrayals that have
Yeah.
happened. And I feel like at this point, I mean, I've had a couple, but only a few would have impacted me as much because I've always had like a friend group right from school, right? So it was like a clique. I thought it was cool. Like all the girlfriends were all together. We'll play sports together.
Yeah.
We'll be in the prefect body, all of that. And that sort of becomes your support system, right? Because if a lot of people, I don't think like people in our generation were as close to their parents back then, right? You don't just like open up
Yeah.
to your parents
Yeah.
and you don't talk about these things. So like that friend group or that support system is the only thing that you have to rely on when it comes to your emotional regulation and your emotional like strength. And from a young age, I remember when I was in school, this really badass group of friends, that's what I thought we were. And I didn't realize, but I was like always on the outside of the group for some reason. I think I was fat as a kid. I mean, I was fat. Yeah, that's what happened.
Okay, we're not going with the literal meaning. I get it.
No, yeah.
You felt like the fat one in the group. That's why you sidelined. Okay.
Yeah, I was sidelined because I remember this one time we had gone to one of my friend's house and we were like trying on clothes. And I was just like sitting there and I was like, oh, this is such a cute outfit. And like, I want to try that on. And then they're like, oh, it won't fit you. And I was like, shit. I'm upset. I am sad.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and that is like, it wasn't so much a betrayal, but I felt like these are the people I want to be with, these are the people I want to hang out with.
Yeah.
And I'm actually not that, like, this is not being reciprocated. And then there were like a lot of things where they would not tell me about their lives, and I would be very vulnerable and open to them, and like that was just like a thing. And that's when I realized that you gotta pick your friends, you gotta be picky. You can't just pick like the first 5 people you sit with in class and these are your besties, or like this is what happens. People are shitty. People are shitty.
Yeah.
Most of them. So the best, like after that, I started being very picky, and now I'm like really blessed to have friends who I can trust, including you and like a lot, like whoever I've surrounded myself with. I think it was like a trial and error thing. You just make friends, get burnt, and then you make new friends. And that's how it
Yeah.
happened. But yeah, betrayals are a part of life, I guess. I'm fine with that.
Exactly. Cheers to that. I think we
Cheers
should
to
really
that.
cheers to that. Um, very similar understanding, or rather acceptance criteria, was pretty much what you expressed it as well. But there was this, how when you're finding difficulty in sort of reconciling with what's happening versus what you're feeling about it
Yeah.
versus what you're actually supposed to feel about it.
Yeah.
And all of that just goes like, okay, what to match with what? Because, like, I mean, on one hand, I'm feeling like this person who feels like there's a need to sit and cry now because I've had like a betrayal to deal with. And then there's this other side of me, which is, remember how I was telling you, like standing outside an exam hall and taking a client call.
Yeah.
So both of these things are happening, and it's just this understanding ki dude ho kya raha hai? Like, am I weak? Am I not? Is this real? Is this not?
It's always real. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
It's always real.
exactly.
And when you discount yourself of that feeling, you're actually just not living like a whole person.
Yeah.
You have to understand that whatever you're feeling is always real. Even if it's like a minuscule part of you telling you that this is not right, this does not feel right. It is a real thing. And I think that is where you were like not a full person. Like
Yeah.
after you worked through that, I feel like that's when you became the Asta that you are today. And like after hearing about all of this, do you think that when it came to Written Hub, when it came to the business, do you think that was also something like this? Do you think that was also you just trying your luck, testing it out?
Not trying my luck. I don't believe it in exactly like that, because I'm like, see, your luck just won't get you to places if you don't work for it.
Spoken like a true founder.
I am one, so well, I have to speak like that. But no, that is actually my thought process as well, and has been since the very beginning, since as long as I can remember. It wasn't luck, but it was something that I was trying it out, or
Yeah.
not even like trying it, experimenting with it. I did take it up as an experiment, and I think it was just the fact that whatever I am, however I am, I don't want to quit. So if I'm facing a betrayal, I will deal with it. I will move on. If I'm doing something different, I will do something different, and I will do it with a bang. So it was more like whatever I'm doing, I have to ace it. And I think it was just that got me into business. I took it as a trial, and well, yeah.
And isn't that strength? When did you realize that this is strength? This is, as you said, it wasn't luck, it wasn't like fate. It was you working hard and it was you doing all of these things. So, did you realize that this was strength?
Not until that point either. Like, it was much later. It was probably another couple years down the lane, but not until that point either. I didn't realize that I was strong. I was just good with whatever I was.
So, what was driving you at that point? Were you thinking that this is just something I have to do? Like, there is no
have
other
to.
option.
No, nothing like that. It was a simple, I want to be different, and I want to continue trying new things, and I want to live life. So actually that perspective changed when I moved to college and when I was away from home. Not like I was being restricted in my house or something, but I was not being restricted. But I think as a kid, you just have this feeling that there are just some foundations that you still have, and
Yeah.
it's more like until then you're being like your parents are teaching you to be, which is pretty great also in my case. But the whole idea that, you know how those things, like when you go shopping, you don't have a mind of your own which dress to pick because your mom would decide
Yeah.
that. Like, it's more that. But then when you move out of college, when you move to college, and you're like, okay, I am the decision maker, so like I have the power to do it. So you will go make some mistakes, do some random ass shit, and be like, wow, this feels great. And then it starts giving you that thrill. And
Yeah.
you're like, okay, I'm gonna do more different things so that I can feel more thrill, and I can feel it at every step. So that's what it was like.
Yeah, that's when the concepts start quenching. That's when it happens.
Yeah.
But I get it. I think when you're young, it's like your parents are actually raising you, right? They're like trying to make you into a whole person, like right from the beginning. Like, you shit in the bathroom, you eat food, you eat your vegetables, you do all of these things. And then later on in life, when you're like equipped with like the basics and the fundamentals, that's when you feel like I am okay enough
Yeah.
to pick my outfit when I go out, or
Yeah.
go to the grocery store and buy the right dals, like whatever. Like, these things are when you actually start making your decisions, and it's terrifying.
It's okay. It is what it is.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it so far. So, what happened after college? Let's get into that.
Okay. I moved to Bangalore, but it wasn't as dreamy as Bangalore is supposed to sound like. I mean, I think Bangalore has this glorious image, not just about the weather part, which also is true by the way, but Bangalore
That's
has this glorious image of being the social place, the business place, the growing up place kind of thing, right? So everybody is fast paced, doing their own thing, a lot of different creative energies. It's fun, it is all of that, yes. But my initial experience wasn't all that because I moved to Bangalore in Jan 2020 and March, COVID had hit
Oh my god.
and lockdown had hit. So I was in this new city as a 22-year-old with like probably what, three friends, like probably just three friends, washing dishes, like having to order groceries not from Zepto or Blinkit, which is like a 10-minute thing, but having to order it 3 days in advance because that's when you get a slot.
Oh my god.
And then the only person I'm talking to by the end of the day is the delivery man who had showed up to give that. So that was my initial Bangalore experience. But I was in a corporate job.
Yeah.
I was washing dishes. I was moonlighting and growing Rittenly Hub. So I was doing all of that, being in Bangalore, except for being able to be social and make new friends.
I think that is also something that our generation, like, people had to deal with, right? Like, just when your life started, that's when it just went to shit. Like, everything was just over for you. Like, I was in college when COVID hit. I was doing my undergrad at that point, and I never had the so-called college experience as well. I just don't know what it's like to be in college. Like, what do you do? What is it like going out on trips with your friends? I don't know what is a college experience. And similarly for you, like,
Yeah.
when you get out of college, you get to make newer friends. Now you have money also to do things that you want to do.
Yeah.
Like when you have a job. But what are you doing? You're sitting at home and doing dishes. But that's when you were also building Written Hub, and that's when like all of this was going on for you, right? So how did you manage that? That does not sound like a weak person or
It doesn't sound like a weak person, yes. But
Not at all.
I didn't realize it that it's being strong either. I was just feeling happier, yes.
Yeah.
Because I mean in the morning I had my regular corporate job chores, if I can call it that, business as usual.
Yeah.
But then more than that, much more than that was actually happening behind the curtain because I was moonlighting. So it's like wrapping up work, having my last scrum at like 5:30 in the evening, and then after that it felt like that's when my brain started functioning more strongly, and that's when like my thrill time started, you know, because I was growing a business. I was in that process of hiring interns and like taking those calls, taking interviews, managing a bunch of people in the team, and at the same time I think I was at my best, and I didn't even look at it as my strongest or my weakest.
Yeah.
I think I was at my best. I didn't go home during COVID, so like I was in Bangalore and my family was back home. So obviously they were scared and all of that was going on. But I think
And Bangalore had like the highest cases also.
oh
at one
yeah,
point,
it was
right?
really bad.
really bad.
It was really bad. But I think it was such a great point for me because fondest of memories of growing a startup and what it actually feels like, and the whole part where by the end of lockdown it made me make a decision to walk away from my job.
Yeah.
That is what happened in my initial phase of Bangalore. So I still like I'm very very grateful that that happened, but it was not the social glorious Bangalore for me.
I think it grows on you. Personally, I think Bangalore starts to grow on you a little bit, and in the beginning, it's like this big scary city, and everyone's supposed to be a certain way and feel a certain way, and you need to immediately have a good social life. That doesn't happen, but it grows on you, and you
Yeah.
slowly ease into it. Apart from that, don't you think now, like looking back, you were always strong to start with, but like you were always growing stronger as well, even when the whole lockdown thing happened and you started building Rittenly Hub? Like, don't you think that also happened and you gained more strength?
I think so. Yes.
At that point,
Yeah. Yeah.
you were strong, right? You knew that.
No, I didn't know
Oh
that.
my god.
I didn't know that, but I knew that. I mean, I know that that has been the journey, and I'm happy about how the journey has been.
As long as in retrospect you can say that
Yeah.
you were strong throughout. But I don't know. I'm waiting for the part when you actually start feeling like
Soon.
you were there. But okay, I get it. Now that we're talking about strength, we
Yeah,
should
that
talk
needed a
about
drink, right?
absolutely. We should talk about the downsides of it too, right? Like, how do you come to be this kind of person, or how do you get this strength? And like, it reminds me of this one thing which absolutely crumbled me. Like, it was the worst possible thing that ever happened to me, and I don't know. I hope he doesn't watch this, but let's let's go. Let's get into it.
Okay, spill the tea, ma'am.
No, so I used to like this guy when I was in second standard.
Okay.
I used
Second standard?
Second standard, and I'll tell you, it was the worst. I did the dumbest possible thing. Okay, I'll tell you. So we were in a concert together, and it was okay. I mean, it's gonna be pretty obvious to everyone, but I don't really care at this point. He also knows I am insufferable.
Okay.
So, so we were doing Finding Nemo, and he was Nemo, and I was like an octopus. I was not even like a thing in second standard.
Okay.
And we were doing our tryouts or whatever, and I just finished practice, and I was going back to class upstairs, and he was coming down, and he's like. He asked me what's my name, and I used to always like him. Okay, I was so obsessed with him. I was like, "Oh, it's 12:30," and he's like, "I'm asking you your name," and I was like, "It's 12:30."
Oh my god.
he's like, "Okay, thank you," and then he walked away. I go back to class, and I was like, "He was asking me my name."
In second standard, Labika, what?
Yeah, that's just how I met him. Like how crazy I was, like crazy
Okay.
manic eyes.
I like how the story has come up between weakness and strength.
I had to. I mean, I had to.
Fun. Okay.
Yeah. So then I used to like him forever, and then I think eventually I like wore him down, and he also started liking me or whatever. Then he moved away when very young, when we were in 9th standard. He moved away. He went to the US, and then he never came back. And I was like really sad, dude. Like I was just very sad that this is not gonna happen. Then until like 11th, 12th grade, we were trying to make it work. We would talk for like a couple of months, and then we would never talk again. And we would keep doing this shit. And and then what happened later was that this one time in 12th grade, both of us were like, we'll give this a shot. We'll do a long distance thing. Screw it. What's the worst that could happen? The worst happened.
Oh my
The
god.
worst happened. And I think we were together, if that's what you want to call it, for a week. And then he sent me a message on Snapchat saying, can't do this. I don't want to do this. And I'll tell you, like, I was a really good kid, okay? I didn't smoke, I didn't drink, I didn't do anything. I didn't ever do anything
Labika, 11th
bad.
and 12th standard. I hope you did.
I never did anything. I still don't. And I didn't do anything. And he said this to me. It felt like the ground beneath my feet, it shattered. Like I felt like I'm gonna die. Like it was the worst thing that had happened to me, because imagine like the build up has been over a decade at this point. Like it's been a decade since we're trying to like will they, won't they sort of thing, and you've finally done something about it, and then it's like, oh, ciao. Apparently he was seeing somebody else. He was seeing somebody
Okay, I
else
get it.
in the US. And his best friend told me about it, and I was like, oh my. Okay. Whatever. And I was messed up about it till like I guess now. I think it's still messed up about it, because I mean, not actively sad, but it's like one of the worst things that's happened to me, because now if you think about it, it's been about, I don't know, about 15 odd years since I've been into this guy, or he's like been a part of my life. I still speak to him, we're on good terms, all of that, but it's still not, it's not a good experience to have. Like it wasn't like a nice thing to think about. Like even now when I go back to that, or if sometimes it gets triggered, I'm still like not okay with it. Like it's still not good to sit with those feelings. But yeah, I'm fine. Everything's good. But yeah, that's one of the breakups. Or I don't even know if it's a breakup, because I don't think anything ever happened. But yeah, that was like an earth-shattering, mind-numbing, like a soul-crushing thing.
Yeah.
That has happened.
No, I understand that, and I think the sheer stretch of it, like right from second standard to that particular journey that it took.
Tell my therapist about it. She is annoyed.
Wow, I'm just glad you treated this as like the therapy talk, and I'm glad you shared that with me, and I think with a lot of other people now.
Except him. I hope he doesn't see this. He's gonna be like, "Oh my God, can she just get over it?" Like, stop.
I mean I get it, because I think fortunately or unfortunately, my heartbreak was my pivotal moment as well. Okay, so COVID got over, it's fine, everything, but then I did have that like
I know.
earth-shattering moment,
I
like you
remember.
mentioned. Everything fell apart. That was a very prominent time when I started voicing out that the voice that was just in my head, that Astha, you're weak, was the first time that it started coming out.
Yeah.
And it did not just start coming out from that incident, because this happened when I was 23,
Yeah.
but it came like all the voices since probably I was 10-year-old were coming at that one break point. So it's like, one thing happens and then it's just domino effect. It felt like that. I started feeling, for the first time, I started feeling like this person who is weak, who can't handle the world, who can't take care of it. What do I do? Like my self-confidence was gone. I was questioning everything. I was questioning every single decision I'm making. I was questioning, like, it's like I had to move out to find a new place as well at the time. And have I picked the right space? Have I not? And even after
Yeah.
picking the right house, you've been in that house. You've stayed with
I've
me
seen-
there.
It was a beautiful
Yeah.
house. Not gonna lie. It was a beautiful
But it didn't feel like that, because I think the whole thing is like your surroundings just don't matter when internally you're not feeling.
Yeah, when you're
Beautiful.
uncomfortable in your skin, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. So I was having
No
like
amount
the
of lush
hardest time.
pillows will help.
Nothing, dude. I was like, it's just a I don't know, weird, different phase of my life,
Yeah.
because once again, I was in that spot where I'm like, I don't know how to reconcile with myself, because I'm telling myself that Astha, you're weak, Astha, you're this, Astha, you can't do life anymore. Like, that was the moment. And then on the flip side, there's this entire phase of growing a business. I
Yeah.
was doing that. I was crying for like 3 hours, 4 hours at night, soaking my pillow wet, and then I'm going to office and I'm smiling. It was such a weird mix of emotions I was having, like literally taking client calls, helping my teammates. But actually, I think it was also good, because
Yeah.
the moment I went to office, it, like, quite a lot of people asked me in that phase that, don't you struggle with it? How do you manage this? But I think what was happening for me in the time was, I knew I was feeling weak. I was taking therapy twice a week. That's how weird or bad a phase I was feeling myself to be in. Dealing with anxiety, depression, all of it, all of the chaos that you can imagine. But I was taking client meetings, and then I was solving my team's problems, and somehow it just felt good in those hours, because I was like, I'm dealing with someone else's problem.
It's not mine.
It's not my own.
As long as it's
I
not
don't
mine.
want to deal with mine, so let's just go with it. Like, let's just literally get on with it. That was my headspace. But that was the first time I externalized the whole Astha, you're so fucking weak moment.
Yeah, that's when the week
Yeah.
came out, right? But you do realize, right? At this point, that's the point when Brittany Hub was actually growing and expanding. And as you said, you were running on 2 different operating systems, right? One was like a personal
Yeah.
OS where you were like, oh my God, I can't, I have to fight these demons
Yeah.
on a daily. And then you were putting out fires on the other end where you were going to work, doing client calls and all of that. So, how did you manage that? Like, how did you compartmentalize it this way? Like, how did it work for you?
For the longest time, it did not.
Okay.
It did not work.
They
for
bled
me.
into each other.
Yeah, they not bled into each other, but I didn't feel it was working.
Yeah.
So I was having a lot of conflicts internally. That's what was going on. So not like one was bleeding into another. It did at maybe a couple of instances it did, but I was constantly making that effort, because I know that a lot of other people are dependent on me. You know?
Right.
So it was that, and plus, something in me was somehow, like, while I'm externalizing the whole Astha, you're weak, and talking with my therapist and this and that, something in
Yeah.
me was still telling me, Astha, you can't quit. you aren't a quitter. You'll get through it. You'll get through it. You'll get through it. And I think I did.
Yeah, I mean, now that you look at it, that's when it started, right? That's when you actually externalized it and you felt terrible about it. How did you, like, at what point did you feel like you can deal with it? Like, therapy obviously helped you, but how was that journey for you? Do you feel like you're still on that journey and you're constantly like trying to better yourself, or do you think like at one point you're like, I really don't care about this, I'm done?
I am constantly trying to better myself, yes. I think so. Slowly, other outside voices started making some sense.
Right.
My co-founder was supportive through
Yeah.
the phase. He kept telling me that, it's going great, this, that, maybe like giving me a boost once in a while sort of thing. You were there as well, briefly.
I
There were a
remember.
couple other friends. My therapist was there. So just slowly, very, very slowly, those voices, those happier, positive voices started getting
Yeah.
more in my head. And I was like, yes, Astha can do this. Astha is doing it. So till that time also, it was just like, that's when this whole sort of feeling started coming in. It's okay, man. You've done so much. You're there. You've been through this 5 months in, 6 months in, 7 months in. And then you're just sort of getting on that train and you're like, it's okay. We're doing it. We're going to do it.
And you've always been doing it. I think that is what you needed. I remember the conversations we used to have back then also, and it was never, Astha, you need to do this. It was just, Astha, can you open your eyes and see what you're doing?
Yeah, it was more of that.
Yeah, it was never like, oh, you need to do better, Astha, you can't do this, like, it's not going to work out. It's always like, Astha, just see, look around you. Like,
Yeah.
just open your own journal and read about the things that you do on a daily. Just that's what was needed. And you did it. And that was pretty commendable. Like, it was really good. And, like, I was there through that phase as well. And even then, you were holding it together. Like, it wasn't like, oh,
I'm so glad the world saw that I was holding it together.
the world knew that. I mean, even if I was up close and even if we were talking, it didn't feel like, oh, you don't have this. I know, like, it was really, like, I'm glad, I'm grateful that I could be there and, help in whatever way I could. And I'm sure, like, all of your other friends and your therapist, all of them also helped you out. But you had already had it. Like, you were already doing a great job and you had it together. Even on the personal front, when it felt like you couldn't, you were doing an excellent job. A lot of people wouldn't be able to do that.
I hope everyone's
And
able to
even
do
in the
that.
work front, that's a given, right? Writtenly Hub expanded, it grew, it's doing well, and you guys are doing great, and that's how you know that it all worked out, and you did a great job for that. So, what do you think?
Nothing. I think let's just cheers to that.
Yeah,
just
cheers
we're
to
now strong people.
yeah.
Through with it.
Cheers.
I think I want to talk about this part because I think this is my favorite segment that we're running.
Okay.
So after I sort of got into this whole realization, understanding, and acceptance of the
Yeah.
new me, of the new realization of myself that I am in fact the strong one, I realized something, and I think I want everyone to know that, or everyone to realize that, is that being strong or having strength does not mean that you don't fall apart.
That's
Okay?
true.
It just means that you fall apart just like everyone else does at different points, but you still decide to fucking show up.
Yeah.
Not giving up is strength. Not quitting is strength. Crying and pushing yourself back up is what strength is about. And I think that's just something that I want everyone to imbibe, and that is something that everyone should internalize.
That's true. And now I feel like at this point, after listening to this journey and talking about this journey, after all of this happened, after you got through it, that's when you started feeling the strength, right? That's
Yeah.
when you felt like you are strong. How is that going now? How is that strength going now? What do you feel like? Do you like being strong all the time? How is that going?
That's a very interesting question because if I say that I'm loving it, I'd be wrong.
Yeah.
I do love it, of course, but not always. I think just like how you have these different phases, I also have these phases because, I mean, let's face it, yeah, like okay, fine, I'm a strong person. I am living life alone in Bangalore. I'm a solo, I'm running my life solo like this, or
Yeah.
I'm dealing with CEO problems of life and things like that. But maybe some days I don't wanna. there are days that I want to sort of, like, because now that I feel that, okay, I'm the strong one and I realize it, I feel like I have this armor on, this cape on. It's a good feeling to have. It's a good visual image to have. But
Yeah.
some days I feel like, you know what? It's time to remove the cape, remove the armor, and just sort of like deal with my wounds.
Fetal position.
Exactly.
Just want to be in
yes.
fetal position.
I want to wear that comfy, cozy shark blanket and just like sort of
Yes.
feel warm and cuddle up and just have hot chocolate and feel like it's okay to be weak.
I think that's true strength. Knowing that you don't always have to be so, I don't know, macho. Like, I can do it, I can deal with it.
Yeah.
Relying on people, trusting people, having a support system, and having that support blanket,
Yes.
having your emotional support hot chocolate. That is what is true strength. Knowing
Yeah.
that you also need some time to recuperate. You also need some time to, gain that strength back.
Yeah.
And I think you're doing a great job at that. You're doing an excellent job.
Thank you. You don't
Yeah.
have to hype me up so much.
Not hyping you up, I think that's needed. Like, validation is crucial. Like, how
Validation is
much
needed,
will
yeah.
you tell yourself that I'm doing a great job? Sometimes
That is true.
you
Yeah.
want other people to say that, yeah, I see you.
Yeah.
I see you. You're doing good.
But I think validation for probably like whatever number of people who are watching this, it's important for them to know that they are strong. And I think everybody has the strength. Nobody should feel at any point that they're weak or they don't have it sorted or they can't do it.
I love that. And now that you're a CEO, dealing with CEO problems, and I mean, dealing with your personal problems as well,
Yes.
how is that going now? Like, in your current state?
Okay, I'll tell you a couple of things about this. I think what I want to begin by telling about is me deciding, and this was a very, very conscious decision about the kind of CEO I want to be. And you know what kind it was. It's not something that a person would have consciously chosen and would have said as the first thing. But for me, I think I chose to be a vulnerable CEO.
Yeah.
And I think that is strength, because it's I'm not saying it's easy to fake it and show up, but what I'm trying to say is that showing up in your true element,
Yeah.
being, maybe if you're feeling weak on a particular day, or maybe if you're not feeling at your best and still showing up, that I think speaks volumes about strength.
Yeah.
Than I'm gonna be this proud lady wearing a suit and walking in. I don't want to be that. I want to be this person with,
Yeah.
like, if I'm sitting with a drink, if I'm sitting with a sunflower around me, if I'm having a conversation, being vulnerable, even like publicly. Because you think about it, right? Like, when I'm talking about helping people, helping founders build their personal brands, tell their stories, it has to first start from me.
Yeah.
It has to be practiced before you preach. I take that logic quite seriously. So if I'm expecting my team to show up as their authentic selves, as not as someone that they want to show up just because they're a manager in my company, I want them to show up as themselves, their
Yeah.
soft selves, or their strong selves, whatever they are. So I am that vulnerable, soft CEO, and I take pride in that. And I think because I am this way, I'm able to make that connect better
Yeah.
with my teammates, with the founders that I talk to on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And I think that's why maybe they trust me to build their brands.
I see that too, and I feel like this trait is often like misunderstood. When you say I'm vulnerable, people see that as weakness, but I think that's such a strength to have. It's such a feminine trait. It's just what a woman is, right? Like,
Yeah.
you are vulnerable, you wear your heart on your sleeve, you will make sure that you are showing up emotionally, but that is true strength. Because everything is not robotic, everything is not like some deck. There is sometimes zero decks given.
Yes, true.
There is zero decks given, and we make sure that showing up as your authentic self will not just empower you but your team around you, and you have to
Yeah.
set that example, right?
Yeah.
Because someday, I remember this one time when we were working together. I remember we were on the group, and my friend and I, we texted you guys. We were like, we don't want to work today because we're sad, and you guys were so understanding. You were like, yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Gotta be sad. Take the day off. And then we created this group called Sad Vibes. I remember
Yes.
that. And I feel like when you have people who are willing to show that vulnerability, your team will also show that vulnerability. They'll show up for you. Like on happy days, they will work twice as hard, but on sad days, they might not.
Yeah.
And you know, that's okay. That duality is what works. And yeah, I see that happening for you.
I think it's been a journey though, because what I want to sort of highlight, and I mean, I'm sure it's maybe self-explanatory as well, but it's not like life's easy once you
Yeah.
decide to be strong, or once you've internalized that, you know what, you're a strong woman. It's not, it doesn't get easier. Life stays the same. You just deal with it better.
Yeah.
And I noticed that significant change in how I was dealing with it, because so a year or so back, we had a financial crisis to deal
Oh,
with. Okay,
yeah.
like I'm talking like a big financial crisis, like easily like 1 crore in debt.
Wow.
Okay,
That's a
and
lot.
having like the team that withdraws salaries, and it's so the kind of steps that you have to take, or the ways in which you have to show up in that moment. Ki like first accepting and dealing with that. Okay, this has happened. Like just sort of like it's still an unbelievable moment, and like both Saksham and I have had that thing where like okay, it's there,
This is happening.
it's happening, it's fine. Let's show up as we're supposed to. We're leaders, right? So sort of putting your own thoughts on the back burner and being
Yeah.
like, it's okay. Like, so taking steps, like, okay, now we're going to stop withdrawing salaries. Now this is how we're going to cost cut. Now this is what we stop. Now this is where we double down. Putting in like hustling, like literally putting in 20 hours of work if it takes that.
Yeah.
Because I think that's our way of maybe showing strength also in different times. That is what has been happening. So the crisis still happened. It's not like after I've started feeling that I'm strong, there was this magical change or something. My like things still went downhill. Okay, maybe it was, to be honest, this was maybe bigger than my personal heartbreak, because having to deal with that responsibility and that sort of things that you have to factor in as a founder, because you're not talking about your story anymore. You're not talking about, it's okay if I don't have my dinner one day or like 2 days or 3 days, whatever. You're talking about dealing with the people, dealing with a team of 30. You're
Yeah.
talking about closing in clients in double the pace. You're talking about cost cutting to meet your ends meet on some days. You know, you're talking about making decisions about, let's use this tool instead of that because it's like 10% cheaper. These are the real problems, and founders do face it, especially like if you're a bootstrap startup. I'm sure funded companies also face different types of crisis, but everyone faces crisis nonetheless. It takes so much strength, and I think that I was able to show up and be myself there, because that is what had changed within me. My feeling that, Astha, you are fucking strong and go do it. So it was just that moment, just that feeling of mine that actually changed everything about it, man. Like,
Finally.
exactly, like, because I'm talking
Finally.
about my heartbreak, what took more than a year or whatever, so did this financial crisis. But the way in which I've been in both situations is vastly different. In one, I am sitting crying and thinking certain things, ki like, okay, life's over, this, that. And in the other, I am still crying. I am still soaking my pillow wet, but I'm thinking about how can I flip the script.
Yeah.
So that sort of change that happened, and I think it's very important to recognize these kind of moments, because more than the whole strength part of it, because I don't think starting a business needs strength. You need the idea, you need the energy and vigor to like power through, and you can
Brute
start
force.
it.
Just gotta
that.
do.
But I think the real test for founders that shows up is when they have to deal with crisis. Okay?
When the going gets tough.
Yeah, when the going gets tough, that's when you need to actually show up,
Yeah.
and that's when you're not gonna wanna show up.
Yeah.
So that is a whole journey in itself, and I think people should know, like, irrespective of whether anyone's CEO chooses to be a vulnerable one or not, just know that they are not made of stone. They have feelings, they deal with it, they deal with tougher times as well. It's just about how they're choosing to be there for their team.
That's true. And I'm so proud of you when you did this. I mean, getting through a personal crisis and getting through like a business crisis and then all of that. And I feel like at this point you can call yourself strong, right? Like this is
Of
when
course,
you, yeah,
100%.
finally, like after going through all of this, we can say that you are
Yeah.
not like that voice in your head that told
No.
you that you're weak or whatever is no longer
Yeah.
there. That voice has flipped the script as well, and the voice is telling you that you're strong.
True. I think I'm ready to be the louder, stronger voice for other people when they are feeling that they might be weak. I'll probably be that external voice that will make them flip their script. That's the person that I've become. And yeah, that's been a journey.
It's been an incredible journey.
Yeah.
And you're still in it. You're still in the journey, I guess. And you're still trying to figure
I'm still
it out.
paying my debts. Of course, I'm in the journey.
Of course. Oh my god. I don't want to say cheers to that, but cheers to that.
It's okay. We're dealing with it.
We're
Cheers to
dealing
that.
So yeah, this has been an incredible conversation and it has been so honest and genuine and vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I had so much fun talking about it today. What?
Yeah, I didn't think I was gonna have fun because it was something so serious, but
was
I
also
did
scared.
by
I
the
was
end
also
of
scared.
it.
When you told me that this is something that you want to touch up on, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
this is going to be
I think this
crazy.
helps. I'm not sure, but it did.
It always does.
Yeah.
Sunday morning brunches. Yeah, but let's see what we have in store for the next week.
I'm excited.
I'm excited as well.
Okay, awesome. Wrap up?
Wrap up.
Okay, cool.